I'll just begin with this: I haven't had this much fun with a motorcycle in years. Seriously. When I'm around a 790 Duke, I'm as giddy as I was when I first started riding. Even my wife, who usually rolls her eyes when I start talking about motorcycles, has told me that she hasn't seen me this excited about a bike in as long as she can remember. The other staff morons also tease me about the 790. If I weren't so dang happy, I'd be embarrassed. Mo has had the KTM 790 Duke in its collective possession for almost 7 months, and we've gotten to know it pretty well. So, we knew the time was ripe for a follow-up to my first ride review. However, I was concerned that writing the update would remind the folks at KTM that we still had their bike and prompt them to ask for it back, which would make me very unhappy. So, I came up with a plan, and it seems to be working. The 790 would become a project bike, making it necessary to keep the Duke in our stable for as long as possible. We'll start with our modifications the way many new bike owners do, by installing factory accessory parts before branching out into the aftermarket in future installments. That's the plan, and we're sticking to it, at least until KTM demands their bike back. The 790 Duke has acquainted itself quite well to the varieties of chores it's been given. In commuter mode, it has proven to be a worthy weapon for scything its way through the worst traffic that Los Angeles has to offer. On interstate highways, it is a handful, but not in the way I thought it might be. The engine's smoothness frequently puts me in the position of accidentally going way too fast. Get pretty silver bracelets fast. Frequently, I look down at the TFT screen to discover that I'm going between 90 and 95 miles per hour. It boggles my mind that I'm on a naked bike with no form of wind protection, and yet, I'm not aware that I'm hauling ass. It's crazy. The engine is a huge part of what I love about the Duke. Yes, I am extremely partial to parallel twins because of their narrowness and my personal history with them. However, the physical configuration is only part of the magic. The 75-degree offset of the crank pins combine with a 435-degree firing order to approximate the feeling of KTM's bigger 75-degree V-twins. Add to that V-twin character the most seductive power delivery I can remember, and you've got a good time on your hands. Yes, a 1290 Super Duke R can eat the 790 for lunch, but its engine is so powerful that you really can't pull its tail for anything more than a few seconds on the street. With the 790, you can enjoy more extended runs into the top of the power band, snicking your way through the gears. And the smoothness enabled by the dual counterbalancers can't be understated. Those Austrian engine designers know what they're doing. Rereading the above paragraph, I feel I need to clarify about engine vibration. Any parallel twin will vibrate in the upper RPM range, and the 790 is no different. Wring its neck, banging shifts right around redline, and you'll notice that the grips and pegs do vibrate. Just not as much as with other parallel twins. Drop the tachometer down to the mid-range, and the Duke gets unbelievably smooth. That's what's gonna get me in trouble if I'm not careful. So, what about the quirk I mentioned in my initial review? The failed upshifts I encountered on my introductory ride have not been an issue. First, I have to say that those problems were encountered on a different loaner bike. When our first 790 developed a strange top-end knock, KTM asked us to swap bikes before our comparison with the Triumph Street Triple R, and we obliged them, and this Duke hasn't suffered from either the shifting or rattling issue. However, I have spent enough time haunting 790 forums and Facebook groups to know that my missed shifts with the first 790 weren't a completely isolated experience. While the symptoms for me were missed shifts, the quick shifter cut the power, but the transmission stayed in the same gear. More people appear to have an issue with false neutrals. I don't think this is super common, but it is out there. Still, I think I can count on one hand the number of times I've missed a shift on this particular 790. When it comes to the auto blip downshifts, I have to say that the 790 has grown on me. I don't know if I'm doing something different, but I'm much happier with the quick shifter now. I use it constantly, both around town in traffic and when railing through the canyons. The shift from first to second requires some technique, but once mastered, the shifts are butter smooth. The trick in traffic is to short shift, and you can change gears at neutral throttle. Otherwise, you need to be accelerating smartly. The downshifts simply work.